One of the other commitments that leaders must be clear on is, what is our commitment to our staff team? We want them to be committed to us. What's our commitment to them? It's just a lot easier, apparently, for a lot of leaders to simply throw up their hands and say, you just can't get good staff anymore. I hear it all the time, all over the world. And the truth is, simple truth is, the best people have to work for somebody. It's just that we have to deserve them. I lead clients through two simple questions that first gets them to take ownership of the problem and second puts them into action. See, we'll never solve a problem. As a leader in an organization, we will never solve a problem that we first don't take ownership of. We had a factory in my Cooper Sporting Goods days. We had a factory in Barbados for 13 years, about 9 years too many. And when an employee was late for work in Barbados, their explanation was, "The bus missed me." And business people laugh when they hear that. They say, well, those people won't take ownership of the problem. They'll never arrive on time if they don't take ownership. Well, for business leaders, the bus miss me comes in the form of, you just can't get good staff anymore, or there's no such thing as customer loyalty anymore. This is what the bus miss me sounds like in business, because we're not taking ownership. We're not saying, well, we're not delivering compelling value, and so therefore people aren't loyal to us. It's easier to whine that God's making people differently than it is to change our organization and create compelling value. It's a lot easier to say you can't get good staff anymore than it is to really just fundamentally redesign the corporate culture so that we deserve the best people. The question is, are the best people in your industry coming in your front door with their resume in their hand on a regular basis and saying, everybody in this industry knows that if you want to get ahead, this is the place to be. If you want to be respected, this is the place to be. If you want to grow as a person, this is the place to be. But they say, no, you can't get good staff anymore. And if you honestly believe that, you'll never do the work to become the business that deserves the best people. So the two questions: what kind of business do the best people in our industry want to work for? And number two, what must we get off our rear end and do to become that kind of business? And those two questions just save the day for a lot of people. It gets them to take ownership and it puts them into action. A lot of business leaders ask me, how do I create pride and commitment in our organization? Well, I don't think people can really be proud of an organization. I think people can be proud, if we think about it, people can be proud of where we've been, where we're going, and what we stand for. And you know what businesses don't do? Businesses don't teach their history, typically, some do, but mostly they don't teach their history, they don't share their vision, and they live by a set of values that change with the wind. And if people essentially can only be proud of or committed to, or whatever word you want to use, where we've been, where we're going, and what we stand for. Teach your history, share your vision, and live by a set of values that good people can be proud of. And it's that simple. So we create clarity, and then we create pride and commitment, and then we get to the subject of accountability. And failure to create a culture of accountability is one of the biggest problems in so many businesses. I had one business leader tell me recently, I don't hire top people. They only leave. They just leave. So I hire mediocre people. They tend to stay. I don't make this stuff up. I don't have to. I mean, this stuff just seems to come to me from people. Another business leader said to me in a conversation about his management style, he said, I guess I suck at consequence management. And I said, there's a new buzzword. What's that? I mean, he said, well, my staff don't do what they're supposed to, and I don't do anything about it. I said, you know what? When I was a kid growing up, my mother was a master. My mother was a master of consequence management. Mother used to say, 3 boys growing up in the same house, we were a tester every once in a while, and Mother would say, you could do that, but there will be consequences. And you know what? If you did it, there were consequences. Mother never ran a business in her life of any size, was a master of consequence management. What I have developed is 4 questions. 4 questions for any business leader to ask people in the business when any of the commitments aren't being delivered. So this assumes, first, clarity of what we commit to deliver, what we commit to become, and how we commit to behave along the way, how we commit to treat the communities in which we make a living and the planet on which we all journey. First job of leadership is that clarity. And then you look for that behavior to praise, and you do that. But then you also look for behavior to correct. These 4 questions were originally developed for a client of mine in New Zealand, and now I use them with clients all over the world because they simply work. They clarify the whole proposition of creating commitment and accountability. So first, we have the clarity. Then, when you see anything in the business that is being done that is not living up to our commitments. That's what behavior to correct is, anything that's not living up to our commitments. And you sit down with the offending party and ask them these 4 questions. Number 1, with regard to this activity, this productivity, this lack of whatever that isn't happening, question number 1, do you understand what we're committed to in this business, yes or no? And the answer is yes or no. And if the answer is yes, boss, I understand the commitment, we go to question number 2. And if they say, no, I didn't understand. I didn't understand what I was supposed to do or the standard to which I was to do it, or whatever. I didn't understand. There's now 2 possibilities. Number 1, they really didn't understand. You as a leader did not do your job. Get with the program. Create clarity. The second possibility, when people tell us that they didn't understand what they were to do, how well they were to do it, or whatever, the second possibility is that they understood perfectly, they're just being weasels. In my somewhat extensive experience, at least 50% of the time that our people tell us that they did not understand what they were supposed to do, at least half of the time, they're just being weasels. They understood perfectly. They're trying to put it back on us. Because if I say, well, I understood, but I didn't get around to it, that's on me. If I say, well, I got around to it, but I did it badly, that's on me. See, the only one that's back on you is, boss, I didn't understand. Apparently, you didn't do your job. Smarten up. So the first question is about understanding the commitment. The second question is, do you embrace that commitment? Do you support that commitment? Here in this business, yes or no? And the answer is, once again, yes or no. And if they say, yes, boss, I both understand and I embrace the commitment, we can go to my question number 3. But if they say, no, boss, actually, I don't embrace and support that commitment, we now have 3 possibilities. Number 1, they honestly believe that you're out of touch with current reality, that you don't get it with regard to that, and that they have a responsibility to you and the organization to engage you in respectful debate to get you to change your mind. They think they owe that to the business. Number 2, they could change their mind and get with the darn program. Number 3, they could leave. So change my mind, change your mind, or move on. And question number 3 is, can you make it happen? Because the reason we're having this conversation right now is it ain't happening right now. So, do you understand it? Do you embrace it? Can you make it happen? Number 3, is anything preventing you from making it happen? Are there resources that you need? Is there empowerment that you need? Is anything preventing you from making it happen? Because I'm here to help. I'm here to be supportive. But given that I'm here to help you and mentor you and coach you and support you, given that, can you, yes or no, make it happen? And if they say, yes, I can make it happen, we go to the 4th and final question. And if they say, no, boss, no matter how much support and help I get from you, I simply can't make it happen, then the universe is speaking to both of you. It's time to part company. And the 4th question is, when will I see it happen? So think about the simplicity of this. 4 questions. Do you understand our commitments? Do you embrace those commitments? Can you make it happen? When will I see it happen? And that transforms people. Because I work with so many people who started a business or started in a business because they were good at making and fixing or selling or designing something. And now the business has grown and evolved to the point where they're in the business of doing that. They are managers or leaders within the business. And yet they're still vocationally employed in the business. They're not managerially employed. They're not employed as leaders. And the business is crying out for them to be better managers and better leaders. But you see, they've defined success and happiness through their entire life by their ability, to use a sports analogy, by their ability to score goals, preferably the winning goal, preferably in overtime at 10 o'clock at night, whereupon they let everybody go home in the belief that they now love you. No, they loved you at 6:15. They're not that nuts about you at 10:15. So what I try to do is to take those people and using some of the insights that I have shared with you to help them learn some of the process of leadership, the skills of leadership. And then, perhaps even more difficult, I work with them to find a whole new way of feeling good about themselves. Because for years they've gone home at whatever hour of the day or night, proud in the knowledge that they have personally scored the winning goal again today. And a new way of feeling good about yourself is, I personally scored no goals today, but I coached and led an entire team to score enough goals to win, and we all went home at 6:15. And that's that new way of feeling good about themselves. And what I tell them is, in order to put it into some kind of biblical perspective, is to say that if there is a heaven, perhaps there's an express lane for coaches. As parents, we want our children to go further, to do everything better, not to make the same mistakes as we do. I don't know any parent who wants their children to be less successful, to go not as far in life as we have. But then somehow as managers, as leaders, when we get to work, we often don't want to empower our employees to do things, to give them jobs to do, because, well, what would happen if they did it better than us? How does that make us look? So why don't so many managers and business leaders empower their staff? Well, there's fear, actually, two kinds of fear. Number one, fear that if we empower someone else to do it, they'll do it badly. Well, if you've created clarity in the organization and you're constantly asking the 4 questions, typically they won't do it badly. But there's that other insidious fear that prevents so many managers and leaders from empowering their team, and that is the fear that they'll actually do it better than me, and how will that make me look? But if you think about it, as parents, do we want our children to achieve less, to do things not better than we did, or not even as well as we did? Do we want them to make the same mistakes over? No, we want our children to go further than we have, to be better than we have. So why at work, in a business situation, are we not proud when our people, our staff, our team do things better than we did? Why wouldn't we experience the same pride that we have found and developed and nurtured those employees to become more than we have? And in the process, I mean, here's the incredible irony, in the process, help us grow our extraordinary business as part of our extraordinary life.